Amid the heart of Europe, where centuries of tradition blend seamlessly with the pulse of modern life, there is a city that transforms once every year into something extraordinary. That city is Munich, home of the world-famous Oktoberfest. Here, history is not something distant or forgotten. It is not confined to museums or locked away behind glass. Instead, it lives in the streets, in the voices of the people, in the rituals that return year after year, stronger, louder, and more alive than before. Long before the festival begins, before the first tent is raised or the first light is turned on, something already exists. It cannot be seen. It cannot be touched. But it can be felt. It is anticipation. A quiet, growing energy that spreads across the city as summer begins to fade and the first signs of autumn appear. The air becomes slightly cooler. The sunlight softens, stretching longer across rooftops and narrow streets. Evenings begin to linger, holding on to the last warmth of the day before surrendering to night. And with these changes, Munich begins to shift. At first, it is subtle. A conversation here, a plan there. Families begin to talk about the festival. Friends begin to organize their schedules. Visitors from around the world begin preparing their journeys. Among them are many from the United States, drawn by the scale, the atmosphere,
just
the
like
promise
that.
of something they have only seen
you
in
try.
films or heard about in stories.
Look at that. Perfect.
For them, this is more than a trip. It is an experience they want to live, not just witness. As the days pass, the transformation becomes visible. Large open grounds begin to change. Wooden frames rise from the earth, piece by piece, forming the foundation of enormous tents. Workers move with precision and purpose, assembling structures that will soon hold thousands of people at once. Each beam is placed carefully. Each connection is secured. Each detail is checked. Because this is not just construction. This is preparation for something immense. Inside the tents, long wooden tables are arranged in perfect rows, stretching from one end of the space to the other. Benches line both sides, designed not for distance, but for closeness. Because Oktoberfest is not about separation. It is about connection. Above, lighting systems are installed, casting a warm, golden glow that will define the entire atmosphere once night falls. Outside, pathways are mapped out, guiding the movement of the crowds that will soon fill every corner of the grounds. Food stalls are constructed, stages are assembled, rides are tested. Everything must be ready. Because when Oktoberfest begins, it does not arrive quietly. It arrives alive. In homes across Munich, preparations take on a more personal meaning. Closets are open. Traditional clothing is brought out once again. Men wear lederhosen, strong and simple, rooted in rural history. Women wear dirndl, elegant and vibrant, each dress unique, each one reflecting personality and tradition. These garments are not costumes designed for entertainment. They are symbols of identity. Each piece carries meaning, shaped by generations. A grandmother adjusts a ribbon on her granddaughter's dress. A father shows his son how to wear his outfit with confidence. These are quiet moments, but they are powerful because they connect the past to the present. They remind each person that they are part of something larger than themselves. As the day of the festival arrives, the city awakens with a new rhythm. From early morning, the streets begin to fill. Visitors arrive in waves. Voices grow louder. Energy builds. By midday, Munich feels alive in a way that cannot be ignored. Groups gather in public squares. Friends reunite with laughter and excitement. Families walk together toward the festival grounds. The sound of footsteps echoes through narrow streets. The scent of food begins to drift through the air. And somewhere in the distance, music begins to rise. At first, it is faint, barely noticeable, but unmistakable. As the afternoon fades, the light begins to change. The sun lowers, casting golden tones across buildings and streets. Shadows stretch longer. The sky shifts from bright blue to soft amber. And with that shift, everything transforms. Lights begin to appear, one by one. Then, all at once, massive tents glow from within, their golden light spilling into the surrounding space. From a distance, they look like enormous lanterns, calling people forward.
Welcome.
Music
Please come in. There is
erupts,
space over here.
loud,
Thank you. It is good to
energetic, impossible to ignore. Crowds begin to move.
Cheers.
Thousands of people flow toward the festival grounds, drawn by sound, by light, by something deeper than logic. Inside the tents, the transformation is immediate. Long wooden tables fill quickly. People sit shoulder to shoulder, raising massive mugs of beer high into the air. At first, there is hesitation. A brief awareness of strangers sitting close together. But that moment does not last long, because Oktoberfest has its own rhythm. A rhythm that dissolves distance. Smiles are exchanged. Glasses are raised. Voices begin to merge. Within minutes, strangers become friends. Music fills every corner of the space. Live bands play traditional Bavarian songs, their rhythms designed to unite the crowd. Drums beat steadily. Brass instruments ring loudly. The energy builds. Hands clap together. Feet tap against wooden
I
floors.
seriously can't breathe.
The entire
We
tent
needed this
begins
night
to
out.
move as one. It feels alive. Outside, the festival continues in every direction. Lights stretch across the grounds.
Good fortune.
Food
and
stalls
friendship.
release rich aromas into the air.
Cheers.
Roasted meats turn slowly over open flames. Fresh bread is broken and shared. Sweet desserts shine under warm lighting. People move freely from one space to another, from tent to tent, from music to food, from laughter to celebration. Everywhere there is life. As the night deepens, the energy intensifies. Inside the tents, people stand on benches, raising their mugs high above their heads. A chant begins. At first, only a few voices. Then more. Then suddenly, thousands. The sound becomes overwhelming, powerful, unstoppable. It spreads like a wave through the crowd. People link arms.
Best chicken in the city.
They sway
Fresh off
together.
the fire.
They sing
Come and get
together.
it.
Laughter rises louder than before. And for a moment, everything else disappears. No worries, no stress, no distance between people. Only connection, only presence, only the shared experience of being part of something greater. That is the true essence of Oktoberfest. It is not defined by beer. It is not defined by size. It is defined by human connection. A moment where people, no matter where they come from, no matter what language they speak, find themselves part of the same rhythm. As the hours pass, the festival does not slow down. It evolves. Inside the tents, the atmosphere shifts continuously. At one table, a group of lifelong friends celebrate together, their laughter echoing louder than the music itself. At another, strangers who met only minutes ago are already sharing stories, raising glasses as if they have known each other for years. Some stand on benches, singing loudly with the band. Others lean closer, speaking over the music, trying to capture the moment in words that will never fully describe it. The air is filled with sound, music, voices, laughter, cheers. Each layer blending into the next, forming something that feels almost alive. The band continues to play, their energy never fading. They know the rhythm of the crowd. They understand exactly when to push the tempo higher, when to pause, when to let the crowd take over.
Tacos yet?
Because at
No, let's get
Oktoberfest,
some now
the
before the
audience
next
is not
band
separate
starts.
from the performance. They are the performance. Outside, the festival grounds stretch endlessly. Lights shimmer in every direction. Colors move and shift as people pass through the space.
Over there.
Food stalls remain busy, surrounded by visitors eager to taste everything. A man carefully slices roasted meat, steam rising into the night air. Nearby, fresh pretzels are lifted from ovens, their warmth spreading into the hands of those who hold them. Sweet desserts line the counters, catching the glow of festival lights. Every bite is part of the experience. Every flavor adds to the memory. For many American visitors, this moment feels almost unreal. They have seen images of Oktoberfest before. They have heard stories. But being here is different. It is larger, louder, more intense than anything they expected. Some of them stand still for a moment, simply observing, taking it in, trying to understand how something this massive can feel so personal at the same time. Then, gradually, they are pulled in. A smile from a stranger, a raised glass, a shared laugh, and suddenly, they are no longer observers. They are participants. That is the power of this festival. It does not ask for permission. It does not wait. It pulls you in. As the night deepens, the energy continues to rise. Inside the tents, the music becomes faster. The rhythm stronger. People jump. They clap. They shout lyrics in unison. The entire space feels like a single heartbeat pulsing with life. Outside, the carnival rides spin faster, lights flashing in patterns that blur into motion. Children laugh with pure joy, their voices cutting through the noise in the most genuine way. Adults, for a moment, forget everything else. Work, responsibility, routine, all of it fades away. Because here, none of that matters. Only the moment matters. Only the experience. Only the feeling of being fully alive. As midnight approaches, the atmosphere begins to shift again. Not in energy, but in depth. The excitement remains, but something more emotional begins to appear. People slow down slightly. They look around more carefully. They begin to realize that this moment will not last forever. That what they are experiencing now will soon become a memory. Inside the tents, some sit back down, their voices softer now, their laughter quieter but more meaningful. Conversations deepen. Stories are shared. Some talk about where they come from. Others
This is
talk
so
about
good.
why they came here.
I think I deserve
And
a
in
bigger
these
hat.
conversations, connections are formed that go beyond the festival itself. Connections that may last far longer than the night. Outside, the air feels cooler. People step away from the crowds, looking up at the sky above Munich. For a moment, everything feels still. Then it begins. A single spark rises into the darkness. Then, another. And suddenly, the sky explodes with light. Fireworks burst above the festival, filling the night with color and sound. Red, gold, blue. Each explosion reflects against the tents, against the buildings, against the faces of everyone watching. The sound echoes across the city, deep and powerful. People stop. They look up. Together. No words. No distractions. Just the moment. For many, this becomes the most unforgettable part of the entire experience. Because in that instant, everything aligns. The past, the present, the people, all connected in a single shared experience. As the fireworks continue, emotions rise. Some people smile quietly. Others cheer loudly. Some simply stand still, absorbing every second, knowing they will never experience this exact moment again. And when the final light fades, when the sky returns to darkness, a quiet feeling remains. Not sadness, not emptiness, but fulfillment. A sense that something meaningful has just happened. The festival does not end immediately. Music continues, though softer now. Voices remain, though calmer. People begin to move slowly toward the exits. Not rushing, not eager to leave. Because leaving means letting go of the moment. Some take one last walk through the grounds. They look at the lights. They listen to the fading music. They try to hold on to everything they have just experienced because they know it will become a memory. And memories, no matter how strong, always begin to fade. But Oktoberfest is different. It leaves something behind. Something that does not disappear. It stays in the way people talk. In the way they laugh when they remember. In the way they describe the experience to others who have never been there. For American visitors, the impact is even stronger. They return home with stories that feel almost impossible to fully explain. They talk about the scale, the energy, the people. But more than anything, they talk about the feeling. A feeling of belonging. Even in a place far from home. Even among strangers. Because for a brief moment, everyone becomes part of the same story. And that is something rare. As the night comes to an end, Munich begins to quiet down. The crowds thin out. The lights dim slightly. But the energy does not disappear. It lingers. In the air. In the streets. In the people. Because this is not just a single night. Oktoberfest continues. Day after day. Night after night. Each one
This is the best
different,
sunset I've ever seen.
each one
I know, right?
unique.
It feels like a dream.
and yet all connected by the same spirit. When the festival finally comes to a close, when the tents are taken down and the grounds return to normal, something remains.
He actually thought the bear
Not visible,
was a large poodle.
not physical,
I swear,
but deeply
he walked
present.
right up to it and
A
offered
memory
it a
shared by
treat.
millions. A story that will be told again and again. Because Oktoberfest is not just an event. It is a tradition. It is a celebration. It is a moment where the world comes together, not to watch, but to feel. And each year, when the season returns, when the air begins to change once again, everything begins anew. The city prepares. The people gather. The music rises. And the story continues. Stronger, brighter, more alive than ever before.